going to be. Well, welcome to another video. Not Elite Podcast. I don't know how long this will go up. This is probably my second podcast, joined by my friend Carney. First podcast. First,
Jamie girl, what's going on, man?
Well, we got AEW Dynamite, and hopefully this goes better than the WrestleMania podcast that I did many years ago with Def 728. So I like your name. I like your name, Carney, way better than Def 728 already. So
shout out to Def 728. It's like I know the guy.
What a legend.
But not Legend Killer, not a Legend Killer DDV, if you know what I mean.
Ah.
All right. How do you want to kick this one off, Jamie girl?
Good question. Summer Blockbuster. AEW Dynamite Summer Blockbuster. NBA Finals on same time. Interesting how this works out with sports and wrestling. You think they can, figure out how to script the NBA better?
Yeah.
Wrestling.
You would wish. But at the end of the day, I think it's something that, I think Raw was dealing with a finals game earlier in the week. And you're at that time of year where for AEW and WWE, you're kind of getting hit with a two-headed monster here, the NBA and the NHL finals, both series, recording this just before Game 4 goes final between New York and San Antonio, but it's looking like that's probably going to be a 2-2 series. Vegas and Carolina, and the NHL is 2-2. So wrestling's got their work cut out for them, and when you do that, you need to have a good show, and obviously we'll jump into it. But I will start by saying I think Dynamite did its job.
Yeah, we had a good couple of weeks of Dynamites. I've been taking notes, and let me try to open up this. Throughout the show, I've been going through special problems taking notes, apparently. Every time I would write something and I would double click, everything, the last 3 sentences would go away. So I've been taking notes from May 30th to now June 10th. I didn't take notes for last week's Collision because I forgot it was on, even though it's on every Saturday. Somehow forget.
Well, it's not always the most memorable shows. Although we were talking, we'll get into it. I think the one that they have coming up this week will be pretty good. But while you try to get your notes together, I'll just say this. We had talked before getting on. So it's June 10th, Summer Blockbuster, Andrew J. Brady Center in Cincinnati. I thought it was a really hot crowd. I was actually fortunate enough that I've been to this venue for a Dynamite. I went last year as they were also at that time building up to a Forbidden Door. And, one of the things that AEW started doing in the beginning of 2025 is having their television in smaller venues, not all the time, but they've found these smaller, more intimate venues that they run a lot of their TV throughout the year. I feel like so far in 2026, they've actually started returning to bigger arenas. But when it came to last year, and we've talked about this, like there are some venues, I remember last year, right after All In, you and I were there with some friends. They went to the Aragon Ballroom. That was a great time. Yeah, one of my favorite shows I've ever been to. This is not an All In shirt. This is an All Out shirt, which I was also with a couple of friends for that one back in 2022. This is more known as the Brawl Out event. But
oh shit.
One of the things that they do well is this show was sold out. They had announced over 1,200 fans. To me, it didn't feel like it when I was there last year. And I think if you're watching on TV, it feels louder than that. It sounds louder than that. I think some of the smaller venues don't come like they come across small. And I don't think you necessarily want that if you're a nationally televised product. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think this venue in Cincinnati has been good to AEW for a couple of years now, and hopefully that continues.
Yeah, they're able to light the venue. It looked pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of like the TNA tapings they used to do back in the day, but kind of bigger than the TNA at Universal somehow.
Yeah, the Impact Zone.
Had like the Impact Zone with the ECW ballroom kind of vibe. Kind of like little Martin Phil of that. So Philly, how should we want to start with the show? How the show starts?
Yeah, so we have Tommaso Ciampa come out, which I think he's done a good job of getting over in his first few months with AEW, and obviously the last couple of weeks there's been a program being built up with him and Chris Jericho that came out on the other side of Double or Nothing, and Ciampa did this on Collision where he had Tony Schiavone basically say, I need you to tell me that I'm better than Chris Jericho. And
Mm,
he cornered Shivani in the ring this week on Dynamite. And as Shivani was just about to be forcefully made to say that he was better,
mm.
Chris Jericho's music hits. Jericho comes out. I thought this was a fun promo. I guess I saw some mixed opinions online. I think it was funny. Jericho was talking about keeps feuding with bald people. He was
Yeah, that
calling
was one of.
Tommaso Ciampa Tommy. Was
Mm.
saying Tommy's mommy. Crowd was getting over with that. And then security breaks him up. I thought it was a good segment. I thought it was a fun way to kick off the show.
Yeah, it felt like a very important way to have Chris Jericho back. He's been gone for probably like it felt like 3 weeks. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a couple weeks now. It finally comes back and does something important. You have comedy, you get some action, and get a pull away part brawl at the end of it. Something that get a little bit more fire under this feud instead of having just Tommaso Ciampa cut a promo on Collision or Dynamite, and you have a little bit of back and forth here.
You know what I just thought of?
Mm,
I don't mean to randomly interject. Did we hit record for this?
yes.
God.
The important part about doing a podcast is making sure you can hear and you can also see by recording audio and visual. So this I think our first time using Zoom in a YouTube way instead of using like an Xbox
Yeah.
to talk to each
Well,
other or whatever.
I just want to make sure, Dynamite's live,
Hey,
but we got to make sure that we're hitting the big red record button to talk about it after.
hey, we're gonna
No,
add all the anime filters in and whatever afterwards, and we're gonna look good.
that's right. That's right. No, I agree with you. I think it was a good segment. Jericho being off TV for a couple
Mm,
weeks after the run-in was good. I think this is setting up to Forbidden Door. I don't know. It feels like it's a pay-per-view
mm,
feud, but Forbidden Door, and we'll jump into it later. I just think
yeah,
this is normally the time of the year where I think it's like, that's something down the road. They're going to get these guys in the ring with New Japan or
yeah.
CMLL people, but I don't know. It feels like an important feud. So yeah, good start to the show.
Because going into Dynamite, going into Forbidden Door is kind of like nothing's been announced. No, like I'm like not even excited about Forbidden Door. I'm like, oh, Forbidden Door is this month. Oh, cool. Who cares? I don't. But going into the show, like they announced some stuff with Zack Sabre Jr. and as we get into this, seems like I have something that I'm looking forward to. I can't wait for Forbidden Door, which might be probably the second time I ever said that sentence ever, or the first time out loud.
Yeah, I will agree. I think that going into this one, this was a Dynamite that we talked about. They really need to build hype for this pay-per-view. I thought they did. You know who else they've been building a lot about is Kevin Knight, and he was all
Oh
over
yeah.
this show. And so, second segment of the night, it's him and Don Callis walking into the building. I'm pretty sure Don Callis said "keep kayfabe" as Renee Paquette confronted them,
Was not
and
paying attention there.
Andrade jumps in, further states intent for the world title, and I think this will be, and we also get a nod to Andrade going for the world title later in the show,
Mm,
which I guess we'll jump into when we get to that point.
yeah.
But after that, Jamie Girl gets to our
Mm.
first match of the night.
Oh, finally, after 30 long minutes, feels like just a lot of talking. Felt like one of those WWE shows you like Monday Night Raw, like talking,
Yeah,
like Moxley versus Shane Taylor, and they've been like kind of feuding over the past couple weeks during Collision. They'll have Shane Taylor interfere in Moxley matches every time Mox is facing someone. Shane Taylor's there announcing at the announce table, beating up Mox when the referee isn't looking or whoever, just interfering in these matches. Finally get a match for that championship. I need to remember the name of it. They have too many titles apparently. Continental.
yeah, this is Yeah, Continental Championship. I thought this was a good one. I think a
Mm.
cool spot real early on was Shane Taylor hits a Uranagi to Moxley on the outside timekeeper's
Oh
table. It
yeah.
breaks the table. That was really good. And something I said is what Mox has done with this Continental Championship is make it relevant for the first time outside of the C2.
Mm.
That's been the only time it's been relevant in the 2.5 years, in my opinion, that it's been around for the most part. I think Mox has done a really good job here. And I said, I wrote it down on my notes I'm looking at. He does a
Mm.
good job of getting talent over without putting them over. And I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
anybody thought that Shane Taylor was bringing the Continental Championship back to Shane Taylor Promotions tonight. I don't think anybody had that in their
Oh
belief,
no.
but he did a really good job of having a believable match. I thought this was a great opener, especially after a couple of promos to get the show kicked off. AEW is where the best wrestle, and I mean, there was not a bad wrestling match tonight, and
Oh
that's
no.
pretty par for the course with AEW.
Yeah, I went into this match going, I don't really care about Shane Taylor. To kind of have more respect for him. Hopefully, we get to see him a little bit more on TV. It seems like we will on Collision with this feud going on. I believe
I was surprised, and I think that's one
street
thing
fight.
that yeah we sometimes see with
Mm,
AEW is that they will build a guy up for a couple of weeks, get him into a match that you expect him to lose. He loses,
mm,
and then you don't see him again.
yeah.
And I was, to be honest, kind of expecting that with Shane Taylor tonight.
Mm,
And they surprised me after the match. Moxley won, and Shane Taylor and Shane Taylor Promotions ganged up on Mox. Belt was handed to Taylor, who whipped
mm,
Moxley a couple of times with that. Marina Shafir tried jumping in. Trisha Adora cut her off with a kendo stick. Danny Garcia was taken out by, I want to say it's the infantry. I think those were the guys that were out there. That I think their stable or team name used to be the infantry, or it is. I don't
uh,
really know. It's kind of a Ring of Honor stable.
for me, I just
Um,
put ROH group. For me, it's just easy. They're the whole same group. Yeah,
yeah,
Serena Murray get beaten up by a kendo stick from the lady in the other group. So
yeah, Trisha Adora. Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
So
see,
no.
good match though. Mox obviously gets the win here, but it gets beaten up, so it kind of evens it out.
Yeah, I wondered if, and there was really no hint toward it, but I wondered if this would get any heat on Osprey. And I say that
Mm,
because Will Osprey has been training with the Death Riders,
mm,
and he wasn't there. And I think we've seen in previous weeks, there have been times where John Moxley and his group have had Osprey's back.
mm,
Osprey was not there tonight. Listen, in reality, like he lives full time in England, so I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure it's not an easy flight to constantly do every week. So I'm sure this was maybe just a well needed date off for Will. I
Mm,
just say that because I think, and I don't know if this will happen before All In, which I fully expect Will Ospreay to main event and headline, or if this
mm,
will happen after. But I think we are getting to an Ospreay and Moxley feud at some point.
yeah.
um, I don't know. Again, does AEW feel it's important to pull the trigger on that to heat Osprey up further going into Wembley, or is that something where if Osprey is what I think he is going to be and what a lot of people think he's going to be, and that is the AEW World Champion at the end of All In,
Mm,
does Moxley serve as his first meaningful big feud coming out of that? So maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I'm interested that Osprey wasn't there, and I wonder if his absence will come into play at any point.
well, at least I'm just hoping at least we see a one of those cool Death Rider cinematic promos with Osprey. It's like, oh, you got to be showing up here. Understand? Mox probably understands. Oh, spending time with your family. Understand that your wife lost her big match last week, so it's probably he can do something storyline wise. He's got to start showing up for the Death Riders. We're going to be there for you. Or are you going to be there for us? Are you really all in on the Death Riders?
Well, you mentioned his fiance, Alex
Mm,
Windsor, lost last week to the wild card, which ended up being the
uh,
returning Mercedes Monet. We got a CEO.
yeah,
CEO.
classic. The fans really loved her last week,
They
which
did,
is
and we got a
weird.
vignette for her following the Moxley match.
Mm,
Talks about how she's watched the women's division crumble without her. She'll face Suzuki, who beat
Hazuki, yeah.
Persephone on Collision. So next week on Dynamite in Houston, Texas, it'll be Mercedes versus Suzuki, and the winner will go to the finals of the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament, which is taking place at Forbidden Door.
Do you want to talk about it a little bit? Who do you think? Well, I think Mercedes is gonna win, but it kind of fell in love for Suzuki over here from Stardom. I think she's kind of winning me over, even though I only seen
Yeah,
her in one match. I think she's
yeah, she had a real I
talented.
agree. She had a really good match against Persephone. I agree with you though. I think Mercedes is winning. I think this final is going to be Mercedes and Athena, which we'll get to who
Mm,
Athena's going to face later on. Let's wait till we get to the other women's match, and then we'll kind of maybe talk a little more
yeah,
about that Owen Hart tournament. But um, so there's a lot of Kevin Knight on this show, and
a
there's a lot
lot.
of Don Callis on this show. And Don and the Jet come out to the ring.
Mm.
Kevin Knight talks about being in this weird ass city of Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and the fans are booing him. Of course, he's getting heat, and he's saying they shouldn't be mad at Kevin Knight. They should be mad at Darby Allin for letting them down. They should be mad at Speedball Mike Bailey for letting them down. And then Kevin Knight says, I want a world title shot, and says for MJF to bring his ass out there.
Mm,
And I think it surprised both of us
yeah.
when we heard Darby Allin's music hit.
Absolutely insane. I was thinking this man's going to be back in a couple months, way more than I don't know. It felt like it's only been like a week or two since he was gone from the pay per view
Yeah,
after
double or
getting beaten
nothing.
up. But well, my thing is Darby. He's built different. He's got to jump off
Wow.
a 5-story building. Then he's going to be back the next week finding Danny. No band aid or nothing.
Yeah, even though we saw him jump off a scaffold at double or nothing, and we were there
Yeah,
for that, and the back of his
that's
head
it.
got busted open. you know. So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. Going into with what happened at Double or Nothing, I felt like that was a big angle, and where
Mm,
I see this potentially going is All In. Because you have to remember, you've got Forbidden Door, and you do have AEW Redemption coming up now, the new pay per view in July. But
mm,
this is the summer. This is where you're building to the big, big stories. And I could be wrong, but I see Darby Allin and Kevin Knight as an all in feud. And I see
mm.
Darby Allin, who was synonymous in the early stages of AEW with the TNT Championship, regaining that title. Maybe I'm wrong. And I don't know. I mean, they're in Montreal for the July pay per view redemption. So I don't know.
Mm,
Maybe Speedball is going to get vengeance on Kevin Knight and win the TNT title there.
mm,
But I think this is your all in story. So and I think based on some words that were exchanged later in the show, which
mm.
I keep saying we'll get to, there were so many segments in
Yeah, a
this
lot of stuff
show.
happens.
So I think based on some words that took place later in the show,
Mm,
I don't think this is a Forbidden Door match. But it is cool to see Darby Allin
mm.
back and the crowd reaction. I mean, that world title reign made him go from a star to a superstar in AEW.
Definitely. Thing is, people online were comparing his title reign to Roman's or whoever in WWE, and he already has way more title defenses in such a short amount of time as champion than any of those guys.
I saw somebody say that you could argue Darby Allin is the best face champion AEW has had. He's certainly one
Ever?
of them.
Yeah.
And I think when you look back at the lineage of the AEW World Championship, they've done a great job at creating chases for
Mm,
baby faces to overcome heels that have long reigns. And then I think those babyface title reigns, especially Hangman's, like
yeah.
he's had two of the best chases in company history. He's had the
Mm,
best chases in company history. And then I don't I think fans would say both of his reigns probably left a little more to be desired. Whereas with Darby
agree.
Allin, I think it was great. And it's not, they sometimes say it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Well, Darby kind of
Mm,
had both. He had quantity in terms of defenses. He didn't have quantity in terms of months reigned as champion, but the
mm,
quality of his title reign was great. And the story of going until the wheels fell off was awesome. So I look forward to seeing him back. And the Don Callis family came out to try and help Kevin Knight. Darby ran out of the building. He was gone. We went to commercial. We came back. And right now, the what appears to be apparent next man up for MJF's title is Mark
mm.
Briscoe. And we had
Yeah.
a rare Tony Khan appearance on a Dynamite. They came out of break, and they were murmuring something, and Tony Khan said, I
Yeah.
think that's a great plan. All right, man. You're great. You're great too. And then Briscoe's music hit
kind,
and he went out to the
kind of confusing there. I don't know what the point of that really was. I guess it showed that he's talking to his boss, which the announcers like Taz, the heel guy, the bad guy, is like, oh, he's talking to his boss. What a bad thing. He's like, why would he not why would he not talk to your boss? He's like, oh,
yeah.
talk to the boss. This is a bad thing. He's trying to suck him, he's trying to get far in advance or whatever. I'm like I
Do
don't know.
you think do you think that the employees at local McDonald's branches get the opportunity to speak with Ronald very often?
Who knows? Who knows when big mascot Ronald comes in there?
Do you think
See a shark like him.
somebody gets frustrated with their shifts at Burger King and requests the king?
Mm. I feel like with McDonald's, I feel like Ronald just moved his management material to the Grimish guy.
He's a little bit more I'd say he's more business casual now instead of circus-y, for lack of a
Speaking
better term.
of circus, look at this guy pack over fucking. This guy's on. I don't know what he's on, but he's on something. The guy
Life,
like 4 foot tall. Yeah, jacked
adrenaline,
on life.
propel.
Get
I thought they had a really good match. I think again, I thought all the matches were good. There was a point where Briscoe did a scoop slam onto the
mm,
outside mat to Pac, follows it up with a bang bang elbow drop,
oh yeah.
ends up getting cut off with a brain buster on a seated chair
Yeah,
out in the
it's
corner.
insane.
That was yeah, AEW does not there was not a match tonight that featured no disqualification, but they certainly find a way to bend the rules as much as they can.
Yeah, especially last week. They had a couple. I don't know what match, but they had a match where someone was going to use a weapon, and Aubrey Edwards like, or whoever referee was like, "This is it's still DQ." It was like, oh, the first match, Roosh, MJF. There was another chair spot or something that was going to happen. It was like, it's no DQ, it's still DQ or whatever, but it's like false count anywhere. It's like, AEW kind of
Well,
should just do whatever they want.
they come back from commercial. They're
Mm,
kind of going back and forth. It culminates with Pac getting a boot to Briscoe, puts him down on the
mm,
mat in front of the turnbuckle, goes for a shooting star press, gets caught
freaking.
with the knees from Briscoe, picked up Jay Driller. Mark Briscoe wins and grabs the mic after James to tell
Mm.
you why it's not weird that he had a conversation with Tony Khan. Although it took a while to get to this point. This segment
Yeah,
was kind of this post match was I
it
think
was
the
weird.
yeah
I feel like
it was the
they did
most
too much, too many cooks here. Because you do
yeah I
this
would agree.
promo, and then you have some fighting or some shit, and then hey, like MJF, just too much. Just do him talking, MJF, and then somehow figure a way to end that instead of having this big fight with Jay Lethal and whoever these other people are.
Yeah,
But
this is Jay Lethal and the Swirl, consisting of Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. Again, very ROH heavy talent here.
yeah, they try to do a thing where
Um,
like MJF is clever, is like, oh, I don't need friends because they're hinting kind of a little throwback at him with Adam Cole when he had a friend and
yep, I thought that
CM
was good.
Punk, Jericho.
Yep.
MJF had a couple friends, and it doesn't go good for him, seemingly.
One thing I love about AEW is that they
Mm,
don't let you forget that. Like, and I
yeah.
thought that was really good picking up on that. Is like that's MJF, the character, kind of exposing some wounds that are clearly still there. I don't know if there'll ever be
Mm,
a payoff for them. But yes, he says basically friends are stupid. And the importance of money, and it indicated that he paid off Jay Lethal and the Swirl or whatever the hell you call the
mm,
group, and it felt like they were beating down on Briscoe, then Briscoe was coming back, then they were beating down
yeah.
on him again. Then the conglomeration comes out, they clear the ring, then we get into the promo. Um, and so the promo basically reveals what Mark Briscoe had said because MJF was uh,
Mm,
insistent that that Briscoe would never get a title shot.
mm,
And Mark says, I talked to Tony Khan. I have a pathway to a title shot. And it is, I'm gonna bring 5 of my friends with me to Forbidden Door, and you may not like friends, but you need to find 5,
Mm,
and we're gonna face off in a 6-on-6 steel cage match. And if my group wins, if Mark Briscoe's group wins,
mm.
uh, then Mark Briscoe will get a shot at MJF's AEW World Championship.
I just thought of this. Do you think this would be more impactful instead of Mark saying that if Tony Khan himself came out there and got in his Mickey Mouse voice, we're gonna do this match, MJF. You may not have to fight your friends, but you're gonna pay someone. And we're gonna do this 5-man orgy match, and you're gonna do the title shot. And Mark Briscoe wins. Ah! Do you think that would have been more impactful than having Mark?
I just I'm just trying to think of yours is a little different than mine. I would say his is like, MJF, you're gonna face Briscoe and 5 others in a cage match at Forbidden Door. Let's go.
Yeah. Like,
I I don't know if it would have been as effective. I I think I think Mark Briscoe got the point across. What I left with wasn't thinking, gosh, I wish Tony Khan does this announcement. My hope is, gosh, you would think Jay Lethal and the Swirl have not just worked their way into a Forbidden Door main event, have they?
oh, I would hope to never see these guys ever again on Dynamite in following weeks, but uh, who knows?
I don't think they're going to be there. And obviously, we'll talk about MJF ends up. I think we know where his 5 people are going to come from, but um, I'll
Mm,
say that I think one thing that's worth noting is MJF. It was reported that he had an injury to his knee
mm,
in a match against Roosh the week prior on Dynamite. I think it was he hyperextended his knee,
ugh,
and the obviously I think, and this is just again, it's we're just
mm,
shooting the shit here. My guess is MJF is factored into big plans this summer. They
mm,
recognize the kind of value he has. I think this was an audible. I think the initial plan was for MJF and Mark Briscoe to fight at Forbidden Door for the title,
for the
and I
title.
think they,
Okay.
yeah, and I think they needed to shift gears. MJF is not 100%, but he's maybe good enough that you
Mm,
can put him in, and you can sit there and think, okay, well, it's a steel cage. There's going to be weapons. It's, to be honest, and I talked to a lot of guys that have wrestled. It's it's a simpler match to work,
mm,
and it in some cases can be a safer match to work. Now it's not to say MJF won't take a thumbtack spot, or I'm sure some
mm,
crazy stuff like that's going to come out, but when there's 11 other guys in the ring, he doesn't need to be the center of attention. AEW's created this standard that these world championship matches, certainly the ones on pay-per-view, are going to go at least 20 minutes.
sure.
Him and Mark Briscoe have had some tremendous matches in the past, so they're going to want to live up to that bill. I think this maybe buys MJF a little more time. I don't think you're going to see him wrestle on any TVs until Forbidden Door. I
Oh
think
no.
he'll get X amount of minutes of involvement in Forbidden Door. I think Mark Briscoe's group is going to win there. And I think then we're
Mm.
going to get to a point where uh, we'll see Briscoe get a title shot maybe a couple weeks later against MJF when he's 100%.
I feel like we're gonna be. Speaking of like the title shot and that in the group in MJF team, I feel like we're gonna see some drama building from that. We're gonna see some stories potentially with that group. Potentially, whoever joins the MJF team.
Well, we're gonna probably have at least one member confirmed. By
Yeah.
the way, when MJF was informed of this news as he was leaving, Andrade El Idolo's music hit at the end of this promo.
Mm.
Andrade comes out. We've got him and Orange Cassidy. This is a
Fun
great
match.
match. I think, yeah, you know what? That's probably a better way to describe it. It's a fun match. It's a good match. Maybe it's not a great match, but
Mm.
it's a fun match because we have Andrade with the gimmick of he's taking his pants off in the
Yep.
ring. Orange
People
Cassidy
love
loves
it.
him.
People
They
love that
they
little
do.
little yellow tidies. People love it.
They do, and I think what they popped for even harder was after Andrade removed his pants, Orange Cassidy did the
Oh,
same,
yep.
only
Slim
to
Jim
find
moment of the night. The Slim Jim moment of the night. We're doing this for the podcast. The Slim Jim moment of the night. Will this continue? I don't know, but it was probably one of the best things that I've seen in wrestling this year in like comedy and match.
I I'll tell you another part that had good
Mm,
comedy in the match. Yeah, so Orange
mm.
Cassidy has the tearaway jeans only to reveal another set of
Yeah,
jeans.
it's kind of like the Sting moment back in the day when Sting had the fake Sting mask and then takes it off and it's Sting.
Andrade's been doing this thing where every week for what feels like months now, he's been taking selfies with these women at ringside.
Oh yeah.
He did that this week, and shortly thereafter, Orange Cassidy took him out with a tilt-a-whirl DDT, and Orange Cassidy looks to the corner, and it's Lio Rush, and Lio Rush is now asking for a selfie.
Yep.
Orange Cassidy begrudgingly takes
Go.
one.
Freaking scared of this man Leo Rush over here, this 4 foot tall demon.
He gets cut off by Andrade.
Mm.
Andrade's big phrase is "how you know," and Lio Rush looks at him and goes, "He knows."
He knows.
And Andrade, for a minute, it feels like goes,
Mm.
"How does he know? How you know? How you know? He knows. How does he know? He knows." Like,
Who
and then
is
they
he?
take a selfie,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
it's hilarious. And the fans love Lio Rush, and I think it's a great gimmick. I give him all the credit in the world for taking such a like kind of bold leap in
Yeah.
character to get relevant. And you know what? This is the most relevant Lio Rush has been since joining AEW. So good for him.
Question is, where do you see how far will this go for Leo Rush? TNT Championship? Will this go that far with Leo?
No, I don't think so. And I guess that, and it's a good point because it's like we've seen Orange Cassidy has kind of been the master of the comedic gimmick in AEW,
Mm.
where he can do it, but he's also won the trios title. He's won the international championship. He's main evented a couple of pay-per-views in the past. So I don't know that Leo has that kind of future, but I think he has a fun gimmick. I,
Mm.
I I don't know. I can't, at least right now, I can't see it as a title. But then
Mm.
again, like you look back to 2019 AEW, and like I would have said the same thing about Orange Cassidy. Like he was funny,
Mm.
but I remember when he started doing the with the kicks and the
Yeah.
hands in his pockets, like he was doing that in 2019 at the first ever casino battle royale at Double
Mm.
or Nothing 2019. And it's like, okay, he was funny and he was funny and he was funny. And I didn't think he would be as big as he has been for 7 years. So I don't know with Leo Rush, but I think it's at least a step in the right direction for him now than where he was with Action Andretti and crew.
Yeah, definitely get some more variety on the show. Kind of never know what Leo is gonna do. He could do a funny promo, he could be in a match, and it's gonna be entertaining. Whatever he does, it's not gonna be, man, I'm like, I hate to see this guy on the TV. I'm gonna be entertained.
Well, Leo Rush was a spectator again to this Orange Cassidy Andrade match that was
Mm.
really good. They get it back into the ring eventually, and Andrade ends up hitting that. Essentially, it's a Judas effect, but it looks gnarlier.
Yeah.
And he rocked OC for the 1, 2, 3, and Andrade wins. He gets on the mic. He says, "How you know?" The crowd loves that.
Yeah.
We
I feel like
we then get
that this is kind of similar to what Bruce was doing. Instead of,
yeah,
get promo and that's it. Mess with the bull, get the horns. How do you know? It's kind of a little copy paste, just switch out the person, but fans like it.
yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like one thing AEW has put an emphasis on, and I'm sure part of it coincides with Grand Slam Mexico coming up in
Mm.
early August, is they have gotten their Latino talent over and their luchadors and their Mexican talent is getting over, and sometimes less is more. And I think Andrade is
Yeah.
getting better at cutting promos. I think even Roosh, we won't dive into it, but his promo from last week going into the match with MJF was really strong, and it was a little more than you mess with the bull, you get the horns. So I think they're doing a good job there, and I think it's great to see those guys kind of get rewarded. Andrade so far has had a great second run in AEW. We come out of that and we get Ospreay backstage. This was
From
Cameron's catching up with him last week. Following his win over Mark Davis in the semifinals of the men's Owen Hart tournament. Basically says he's beaten down. Feels like he's trying to say something that he may give credit or owe the Death Riders before Alex Windsor.
Yeah.
And that kind of cuts off as Windsor, who is Ospreay's real life fiance, runs into his arms and is crying, and
kind of have this long pan there with the cameraman is like, what the hell's going on? And then Ospreay's like, get out of here.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, they're trying to show the emotion, and they're, both of them are are from over on the pond there, and I think that there were some thoughts, even I considered like they may let Windsor win this Owen, and so you have both her and Ospreay in their respective world title main events at All In, but that wasn't meant to be for her. So
yeah, but that wild card coming in kind of
yeah.
changes the whole game here.
We then get a Tekla promo recapping her getting fired from Stardom. She said she plans on shutting the Forbidden Door for good, which I wrote. Some fans may not mind, as the idea of this pay-per-view isn't exactly what it once was a few years ago. But I think we know this is clearly setting her up to face someone from Stardom at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Great promo. Can't get enough Tekla. Hopefully, it doesn't seem like we will see her on Collision. Collision's pretty stacked. I'm not looking at the card here.
Yeah, we'll get into that one in a little bit here. We do know that one of the things on there is Moxley backstage coming after the Tekla promo. Again, so many different segments, but he's backstage with Marina Shafir and Danny Garcia. Mox sounded like he had a sinus infection after Shane Taylor crushed his esophagus earlier in the night. And
good attention to detail. I was like, why is his voice messed up?
Well,
honestly, most of the time his voice is always messed up. Like,
that's true.
So it's even more.
He was like, but he got crushed. He got his ribs crushed. So his lungs. But so big match though. We got a 5-on-5 Cincinnati street fight for the Summer Blockbuster Collision. As Danny Garcia was the one that says, Shane Taylor Promotions, grab 5 of your guys, grab 5 of us. See you in a street fight. So we have that. We have a 6-on-6 at Forbidden Door. Lots of multi-mans, James.
A lot. Just throw them. Just feels like back in the video games when you have to play with all of your friends and you got to get all these 6, 8 people in one match somehow. Feel like a video game. That's what it feels like right now. You're playing the universe mode or whatever. If you ever play GM mode or whatever, you got like all these people and you're trying to get all these people in one match. This is how you do it. 5-on-5, but street fight. Hopefully they do like an actual street fight, because most of the time it's kind of like, oh, they fight in the crowd a little bit and they don't really go out in the streets. I want to see a car. I want to see someone get hit by a car, or throw someone at a car.
Mark Davis came close to Double or Nothing.
Yeah, very close. That school bus. Oh, with that school bus, Double or Nothing. Blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, I'm calling you back on the Zoom here.
Did you send me one?
Just did.
Well, this is good. So I think this one now we'll have some should have the ability to get through this because we're near the end of the show.
Oh yeah.
We'll give some recapping thoughts.
It's like a. Do
you think you're gonna be able to get this uploaded tomorrow?
I'll see how long it takes for me to edit tomorrow, but worst case scenario, I'll try tomorrow. Yeah, I'll let you know. I just invited. Oh wait, I thought I did. Oh, I gotta admit. I gotta admit. Gotta. Oh, it's a chair.
Getting some water. I am the chair.
What? I have the table.
All right. How's the audio? Wait, let me mute myself. How's the
Should
audio?
still sound the same. I can hear you through the headphones. I think it's
Perfect.
because with Zoom, I have the speaker. I didn't select the speaker in Zoom, and I was trying to. But now, hopefully, the speaker is selected, so that next time we don't have any audio difficulties.
Nice. Good, good. All right. So I guess we'll pick up right where we were there. I'll jump into the technically we'll jump into the next segment.
Yeah, I feel like just go to the next segment. Sky Blue,
Okay.
Owen Hart.
Yeah, so this is so it's Sky Blue versus Maya World.
Mm.
It's my world, my
My
world.
world.
We got we got Dark Side of the Ring, Jeff Jarrett's TNA coming out soon.
Oh, that should be interesting. Is I don't know. They should do a Dark Side of the Ring on his AEW retirement tour when he's gonna face MJF for
Oh,
the title or something.
oh
They
my
should do a little
God.
episode on that on how that got
Yeah, what
canceled.
happened to that? What
Yeah.
happened to that? I think that was around the time, and it was in January of last year. And I really do feel like I'm not saying it's been home run after home run, but I think that was like the last like not great story for
Uh,
AEW.
I think it was
Uh,
very smart of them. They really pivoted very quickly. They're like the fans don't like
yeah,
it. We're switching. They didn't even do a match.
yep,
As far
yep.
as
I
I
thought it
know,
was
unless
good.
they had a match in Memphis, Tennessee.
I
Fucking who
can't
knows?
remember if they. I don't remember if they did a match. Maybe they did an
Not
MJF one.
AEW, but unless they did like a bingo hall or something, like some little small. I don't think
I don't know.
MVF really.
I don't remember. But this is not Jeff Jarrett's My World. This is Maya World. Um,
Oh, I think she had a pretty good theme song. I wrote that in my notes. I'm like, oh, she had a. It didn't sound like a generic jobber entrance music. I'm
yeah.
like, oh, she had the second entrance, which was like I was like, oh, normally people get like the jobber entrance that
So
we never heard of.
she Well, this was the Owen tournament, and
Yeah.
we clearly found out she was not a jobber, but she is a Ring of Honor talent. She
Mm.
replaced Suri from Stardom, who was out due to injury. So both
Mm.
Suri and Willow Nightingale, the out of this women's tournament due to injuries.
A lot of
AEW
injuries
found
here in
out.
AEW. Tony Storm's still injured from that backstage attack. That kind of
Yeah,
who
yeah.
knows
What
when she will
happened
be
there?
back.
Renee was at ringside and announced that My World's younger brother had passed away earlier in the week, which, I mean, I give this young woman credit for
Mm.
being able to get in front of a national audience, and especially in a spot start situation where, it's not like she knew 2 weeks ago that this was going to be her match. And,
Oh no.
honestly, I mean, I think they had a couple of good spots. I think there was a swinging neckbreaker spot on the ramp.
Mm.
The way that the way that
Oh
this
yes.
venue was set up, the ramp leads right into the ring.
And especially it
Um,
gave me like the old TNA Impact Zone vibes with how they were moving the camera throughout the match. It felt like very cinematic, felt very flawlessly. It felt like the camera crew did a good job at capturing every moment from this match here.
and I think that the crowd, like again, I'll tout this Cincy crowd. I've got some
Mm.
bias there, but like they were hot for this match too. And look, we know this. I don't think it's a secret. Um, women's wrestling in AEW at times is not viewed in the same light as the men's wrestling, and I do feel
Mm.
like sometimes in a show it can be treated by some as a cool down match. And not to knock either of these women, but
Mm.
this isn't a Mercedes or a Statlander or a Tekla Willow match. Like,
Yeah.
my world is not really that known to the AEW audience, and Sky Blue has never really been pushed as a top tier talent there. So, for the crowd to stick with it, I thought they did a good job, and they popped for the win, James, which was a surprise.
Oh yeah. As soon as you said well they were talking about Maya before the match, you said she was gonna win. I was like, I don't know. I think she's probably still gonna do the squash thing, but they actually had a good competitive match here. They did like a training blows thing when they go back and forth, and I really was like, oh, that's kind of cool, kind of like the WWE video games. I thought how they did that was pretty cool. Good way to show that these two are like competitive. These two are like equal, and good roll up pin at the end. Really protect Sky Blue
Yeah.
here, so it's not like she's just losing to some ROH person. The other person just barely came in there and just clutched the win.
Yeah, World got an over the top bridge to get the
Mm,
win. And so yeah, unexpected win, flip over bridge. And so as a result, Maya World, who's effectively in some ways a wild card on her side of the bracket, now goes to the
sure.
semifinals. She will face Athena. And I don't know if they announced the date for that, but I will say this: I would
Mm,
think it would be next week, and maybe I'm wrong, but I know
really?
next week they've already got Mercedes against Suzuki,
Yeah.
but next week Dynamite is in Houston, Texas. Athena and Maya World are both from the state of Texas, so it feels
Mm,
like it could happen there. I just don't know if
definitely.
they'll do two women's matches on the same Dynamite.
I think it'd be smart for them to push that to Collision. I don't know. I would imagine they're in the same area for Collision.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, yeah, that's a you know what? I'm gonna look that up.
Do some homework here.
Well, it also may be a double taping, and if that's the
Uh,
case, then I would think you're right. Let's find out. It is a double taping. It is a Dynamite
yeah,
and
they're
Collision. So perhaps we will see that match on the Collision portion of that taping. I would think.
yeah.
Who do you think the finals are? I'm going to say Mercedes and Athena.
I would also agree because you have Monet. She's kind of the fan. As soon as she came back, the fans are starting to like her because it's weird. As soon as it's weird with wrestling. As soon as someone is there, they don't like her, but when they leave, they come back, and then the people love them. Seeing that with
Yep.
Jericho, Jericho left, and then he came back, and now the fans love him. I also feel like
Yeah.
we're seeing that with Monet. Hopefully, she gets her flowers in AEW and gets the respect that she deserves against Athena. Athena seems like a pretty good bad guy. They have storied history from their time trying to be tag team champs, and that didn't work out.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that is the final. I think Maya World
Mm,
getting the win this week, you know, certainly with what's happened in her personal life, it's a feel good win. I just don't think it can't be like I think it needs to be Athena in the finals. I think there'd even be an argument
yeah.
that she should win the tournament. I won't get into that yet. We'll wait and see. We can
Mm,
talk on hopefully next week when we do know what the final is and kind of give predictions there. But that's just my thought. I think Athena and Mercedes need to win these matches.
agree. You have your longest rating ROH Women's Champion with Athena. Still doesn't seem
So
like.
I'm
Mm,
yeah, I'm trying to you're kick off the kick off this next one for us because I was sitting there. I actually want to count how many individual segments were on this show, but I will
the
say
mm,
that this one was very exciting because I had mentioned to you as we were watching live. I feel like New Japan Pro Wrestling has had such little involvement, and we got quite a splash here.
oh yeah, going seeing something about Forbidden Door. You hear Zack Sabre Jr. and you go, okay, cool. He's talking, and I'm like, talking about how he faced Nigel McGuinness, and it's like, cool. Then he seems like he wants to face someone else. Who that challenger be? Seems like that was going to be it. Seems like we're going to wait and find out potentially in the coming weeks. But no, they just blow their whole load over. And Kenny Omega in the United States, Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. I never seen these two face out ever, but I know Zack Sabre Jr. is a good name. Kenny Omega is like probably one of the best ever to wrestle. And it's like, who wins this? Like what?
I you can tell I'm like losing my
Mm,
breath on how excited I was. Yeah, I mean, I was taking a look, with Forbidden Door, every year it's kind of been a staple now. Um, I think Zack Sabre Jr. is just one of those rare talents that he's actually one of the few guys left that I think kind of keeps that door forbidden because
Mm,
so many of those guys are AEW guys now, right? Will Ospreay, Katsuyori Shibata, Okada, of course, Jay White. And so now, you'd think Zack Sabre Jr. would follow, but he has stayed on Japanese soil. And
mm,
you look at his Forbidden Door match card. He's fought at every Forbidden Door. Um,
mm,
he had Claudio Castagnoli in his AEW debut, lost that match, beat Orange Cassidy, lost in a four-way to Cassidy, Shibata, and Daniel Garcia in 1 year, and then last year he beat Nigel McGuinness,
mm.
which he talked about in his promo.
Yeah.
This match to me, like we talked about it, they need to go into Forbidden Door, and this was a really important week to kind of get you excited because you said this at the start of it.
Mm,
Going into this week, you're like, I'm not super stoked for Forbidden Door yet. You had a lot coming out of this show to build that excitement, and I think this is one of them. It's not the first time they've ever fought, but it's the first time they've ever fought in America. So
mm.
obviously, I think it's a huge get for AEW, a huge get for the fans. I wouldn't be surprised if coming out of this show, it moves some more tickets. They're not at a terrible number, but they're not as high as they've been in Forbidden
Mm.
Door past. They're at the SAP. I think it's SAP Center. Yeah, SAP Center in San Jose,
Mm.
California. So
Oh yeah, that
um,
should do good.
this should drive some. If I'm living in California and I was debating on this show and I saw that match get announced, I'm buying tickets.
Yeah, because for me, this is going to be the first time that I see these two fight. Period. I never seen their other matches. They're probably good. Every Kenny Omega match in New Japan or whoever he's faced has been a good match. There's probably count a handful of times he had a bad match. He faced a blowed up doll, and that's probably a good match too that I've seen a little bits and pieces of. He's
Yeah.
faced an 8-year old girl or whatever, and that was a good match.
Yeah.
So it was like, if this is a bad match, it would be heavily like a surprise, like, whoa, a bad Kenny Omega match?
Yeah, no, this will be something worth
Mm,
watching. And then again, that is for Forbidden Door. Now,
mm,
we mentioned earlier, I think Kevin Knight and Darby Allin are eventually getting to a pay-per-view match. I don't think it's at Forbidden Door because coming
mm.
out of that segment, which I may have counted wrong, I have 14, if you include matches,
Oh.
vignettes, promos, 14 segments on this
Mhm.
show. Um, we get MJF. We come back from commercial break. We get MJF approaching the Don Callis family, looking for 5 partners for this steel cage match. Don Callis
uh,
says,
he's not a
"What do you
pimp.
think I am? I'm not a pimp."
Yeah.
MJF then shows Don Callis, opens a briefcase. It's a loot of cash, and the tone quickly changes. And so
Immediately goes
now
from
there
I'm not a
are,
pimp to I'm gonna buy a boat. The Don Callis boat.
and well, the Don Callis boat needs to probably be a ship to
Yeah.
accommodate the amount of members of this
I
family.
hope we see one
So
of those sexy portrait paintings like the Kyle Fletcher painting
yeah,
with him in this boat and all the people on the boat
for whatever reason,
on
they're
the
always
dynamite or
naked.
whatever. Yeah, half
For
naked with
whatever.
championship gold or fruit covering their crotches and
So they did not announce any of the 5 partners, but what
oh
they
no.
appeared to make very clear was that Kevin Knight will be joining MJF because, as
And
Kevin Knight is
Kevin
stating
Knight
back,
he kind of like volunteers like I'm in
well, he did, and
unless
the stipulation, which
mm,
is you give me a world title shot, and they had a gentleman's agreement. They shook hands, and
uh,
MJF said, "I will give you a title shot. I'll beat you again, but when I do, there will not be a rematch." And I do not think we're going to need to worry about another rematch after their match because I don't think there's going to be another match because I think
yeah.
whoever the groups end up being, I think Mark Briscoe's team is going to win. This just feels like with what they've done over the last 3 weeks, I just don't know how you're building to get Mark Briscoe to Forbidden Door with a group to then lose and
Yeah.
him not get a title match. I think he's getting a title match out of this. But Kevin Knight appears to be the first of 5. And then Andrade was standing there after the Don Callis family left, again, as he's been for feels like over a month now, asking Don Callis, like, I want the title match. And Don said, I promise you're going to get one. I promise. So I don't know. Now, Andrade is holding a New Japan title. So
Yeah.
I didn't see him in this match. I think he'll be defending that belt, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it would make more sense to have him defend his title during the Forbidden Door instead of being in a big multi-man match. Do a one-on-one match. Do some storytelling. Let's see this title be defended. It's really a Forbidden Door. You see a New Japan Championship get defended. See a Stardom Championship. Something. Add to the array of title matches, I think, for these brands to be together on one show.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think he's going to be in this match. So we'll see. All right, we get to our main event. Swerve Strickland, Brody King. This is the match of the night. And again, there's not a bad match on this show. Some highlights that I looked at are Brody gets the upper hand.
Oh,
they quickly battle to the outside. Oh, what do you got?
And before the match, the entrance, you have Swerve. Like, he's kind of dressed like Craven from the Spider-Man. It's kind of a villain. He played the Marvel Spider-Man video games and the Craven movie. Kind of has that little jacket going on to symbolize he's the villain going forward.
He has frequently had attires, I think, inspired by Marvel. I know he did something for Black Panther, I think, at All In 2024. I'm trying to remember. I mean, he did a Bray Wyatt attire once too.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
He's done a few of them, but he and Brody quickly battle to the outside. Brody gets the upper hand, prepares to do a signature crossbody to Swerve on the barricade before Prince Nana shields Strickland, and that gives Swerve enough time to recover and deliver a drop toe hold to King, sending him face first into the chair. And he then puts Brody on the chair, seated on the outside, gets to the apron, and does a Swerve stomp to Brody, who I thought 100% was going to get whiplash from this. And I had wondered, because shortly after that, I went to a commercial break. I had wondered if Brody would be blading. He was not, but early in the match, they did kind of plant the seed for that, as Brody was holding on when Swerve was trying to powerbomb him out of the corner and ended up exposing a top turnbuckle that would come into play later in the match.
Yeah, it kind of like rips apart in a insert. Normally, the top turnbuckle just comes off easily. This one, it had more give and fight to it. It had a little bit like, I'm a hanging here, I'm a fight forever.
Shout out.
Lovely game.
Some would say, but I thought it was again a great match. Nana ends up hitting Brody King with some kind of foreign object. I couldn't make out what it was.
I don't.
Maybe a toolbox.
Looks like a toolbox or a tomb. I looked like some sort of brick or something. I couldn't really. Some foreign object.
Well, I will say, so I should mention before that even, Brody ends up eventually getting, as they got back into the ring, Brody ends up getting shoved into the ring post head first. He is gushing. And so we do get blood on this show. It feels like it wouldn't be AEW without it. And ends up kind of charging up, though. Swerve hits him with a house call. Again from the top rope. Brody kicks out. Brody keeps going. And eventually Brody gets thrown, I think it's toward Aubrey Edwards, who has to get out of the way. That's where she ducks kind of out of the way. Nana's able to hit Brody with whatever this object is. And Brody walks backwards, kind of dazed and confused, into Swerve, who drops Brody with a vertebreaker for the 1, 2, 3 in the center of the ring. And with that, we are getting a Forbidden Door 2024 rematch. That year, it was for the World Championship in the main event.
Mm.
And this year it is going to be for the finals in the Owen Hart men's tournament. Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, the winner, is going to go to Wembley Stadium and main event All In.
And assuming he faces the person that was watching this match, MJF, as the current champion, assuming somehow he makes it to Wembley.
I think
Assuming.
so, yes. I mean, but we
Mm.
we keep seeing, we keep seeing these rumors and like, um, and I guess I'll say, I mean, first of all, that was
Mm.
Dynamite, and I thought Dynamite was a great
Great
show,
show, entertaining.
really good.
Good year so far. Dynamites haven't really. It's probably been maybe one Dynamite I didn't really care for, but other than that, every Dynamite's been good.
Yeah, the one that sticks out to me is the one coming out of Revolution, and I was so disappointed because of how great of a pay per view that was, and I just kind of fell flat
Yeah.
on Wednesday. But no, they did a really good job here heating up. What I will say back to the MJF thing is,
Mm.
um, to kind of put a bow on the Dynamite and then get into some other thoughts. Like we keep seeing it's been rumored for months. Is Kenny Omega going to win the world championship? And we have
Mm.
another AEW pay per view in Canada, and that's at the end of July, AEW Redemption. Now, reminder, in April,
Mm.
Dynasty was on pay-per-view in Vancouver. It was main evented by Kenny versus MJF. MJF
Mm.
won. And I think this sparks interest because we've seen after the last two pay-per-views, Dynasty and Double or Nothing, these backstage in the medical room, in the trainer's
Mm.
room, Osprey and Kenny sitting together. And it's Osprey's been chasing Wembley for the Owen, but he's been reminding Kenny, hey, you're still a main eventer. You still
Mm.
have that kind of like you still have that one run left in you. So again, I think kind of like what I was mentioning earlier now with the Death Riders, I do believe we will get a Will Ospreay John Moxley match. I believe
Mm.
we will get a program. Do we get that before Wembley to heat up Osprey into All In, or do we get it on the other side of Osprey winning the title? My same thought is with
Mm.
this, where I think we will get Osprey and Kenny Omega.
Mm.
They've been marquee matches every time they've ever happened. They haven't fought each other now in I think 3 years, 3.5 years, maybe something like that.
Mm.
Actually, I think the last time was Forbidden Door 2023. But uh, do we get that with Osprey being world champion and it's on the
Mm.
other side of Wembley? Or, and you have to factor in the business side of this too, as great as MJF is for business,
Mm.
is a Kenny Omega maybe one last time as a world champion
Yep.
versus Will Ospreay at Wembley Stadium. First time ever those two would fight in the UK, whereas MJF and Ospreay, they've already
Yeah.
had their match at Wembley a couple of years ago. So what is more of a draw? Like in my heart, I think MJF is the right guy. I
Mm.
wouldn't be mad if Kenny was the guy, depending on how they get there. Um,
I
so yeah,
would
I mean
say
that's
I say we look at what the Kenny um what that Kenny match does for Forbidden Door.
Zack
If
Sabre
that
Jr. Yeah.
Zack Sabre Jr. that sells a shitload of tickets now, they're going, wait, potentially Kenny's still a big name. We can have Kenny Osprey at All In.
Yeah.
You
I
can't
mean,
lose. You have two of the biggest baby faces in AEW.
well, and that's the other thing is I think if they did it, they need to keep them both as baby faces. Like Osprey's not going
Yeah.
to get booed in his home country. It's
Oh
just
no.
not going to happen. He literally, I think he grew up like 20 minutes from the stadium. He's
You
not
could
getting booed.
literally shank Kenny Omega and he would still be there and people would love him.
Yeah, yeah. And I think with Kenny, it's tough because this whole diverticulitis story over the
Yeah.
last couple of years, I think people know that Kenny probably has more years behind him than in front of him in a wrestling
Mm.
ring. And I think these Kenny Omega performances, we've kind of seen it. Like, I don't know that he's wrestling on Collision, which we'll talk about that card in a moment. But like,
Mm.
you know, I think people covet these Kenny Omega matches now because they know that they're far and few between. So I just don't think it makes sense to make him a heel either. And it's not to say that you
Yeah,
can't
no.
do a babyface versus a babyface. We have seen it happen.
Yeah, they did that on
Um,
a Dynamite ad. I feel like Kenny versus Brian Danielson. Feel
Yeah,
like they're
yeah,
two
that's right.
good baby faces. Everyone's sharing it. So that is where the best wrestle. So you don't really got to worry about, oh, we got to have a good guy, we got to have a bad guy. Who the fans gonna boo? It's just like your fans are gonna cheer everyone. They're gonna have a blast. They're gonna go crazy. The whole roof is gonna blow off ultimately.
Well, it's even like MJF. Like
Mm,
MJF is a heel,
yeah,
but everybody loves him.
people love him,
You
but
know,
like also people understand. Okay, he's a bad guy. So let's say there's a fan favorite. If he does a cheap shot, people still boo him when he does cheap shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah, I agree with that. But I think that that's one thing with AEW is I feel like they have guys that are heels that like people still love them because they're
Oh
just
yeah.
again it's good in ring talent. MJF's a hell of a promo.
It makes I
Um,
feel like it makes the wrestlers work even harder to try to get that heat. Like Kevin Knight, try to do what you
yeah.
got to do to get that heat, get people to really truly turn their brain off and believe in the story and boo these people and just go like, man, I freaking hate you, and go like, oh yeah, this is just for kind of forget, believe the magic of wrestling here.
Well, we went into the show saying
Mm,
that you feel like they need to do something strong for heating up Forbidden Door. We came out of it
yeah.
with a confirmed, well, we know now it's Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland, which I think everybody thought, but
Mm,
regardless, it's cemented. That'll be the final of the men's Owen Hart tournament. We've
mm,
got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenny Omega confirmed. We have a six, so we've confirmed the AEW World Title won't be on the line.
mm.
And instead, it's going to be a 12-man steel cage match, which I think is going
And
to
I
be
got
very
a
fun.
potential possibility. Will Darby be in that match to help Mark? Because
You
then you get
know,
that
well,
Kevin Knight Darby a little bit. They have some, they can fight a
that's a
little
good
bit
point.
before they have
That's a well,
the real
and
match.
Darby and MJF could still, that would make sense. Yeah,
Mm,
I think that could be something. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if like a New Japan name, like I could see a Minoru Suzuki being added in
mm,
on the side of Briscoe.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just
so
hoping we
maybe
don't see a Kyle O'Reilly. We don't see too many members from the collaboration. But
I don't know. I
that's what I'm fearing. They just gonna have as many collaboration members, and it's gonna be
Yeah, yeah, I think that'll happen. I'm with you because I'd like to see, like I think the trios titles have potential to be utilized more, and I think
oh
that's a
true.
pay-per-view where you could use them. Because who are the
Mm,
trio champions? It's Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong, I think.
yeah, so that
Um,
would be a good
I mean,
reason for
so
them not to be able to have that match because they had to defend the trios championship, at least storyline
Tomohiro
wise. Yeah.
Ishii's been there the last couple weeks, so I think he'll be in it.
Mm,
And again, he's a New Japan guy, so um, but yeah, so we have that. We have the Zack Sabre Omega. We have the men's finals. So we've got three there. In the chamber, you're going to get the finals of the women's tournament, which will put you to four
yeah.
matches. I think I don't know, but I could see Jericho and Champa getting a match at Forbidden Door. I'd like to see it. You know what's weird, man? I could be
Mm,
wrong. Tommaso Ciampa came in at the beginning of the year. I I don't think he's had a match on the main card of any of these pay-per-views. I might be
no, I
wrong,
feel
but I
like it's
don't.
been
Yeah.
0 hour. Yeah,
So
I don't
I
believe
can
so
tell you.
unless he's face Mark Briscoe for the TNT championship.
So
Is that
no.
ever?
So at
Mm,
Revolution, I think. Am I wrong about this? No, I want to say at Revolution was when they did the 0 hour like blackjack battle royale for Ricochet's national
oh yeah.
title, and he
Mm,
was in
true.
there, and Jack Perry won
Yeah.
at Double or Nothing. I mean, he wasn't. I don't even think he was on the 0 hour. I don't think he
No,
was on. He wasn't in Stadium Stampede, was he?
I I don't think so. I don't really. Yeah, I don't remember hearing his theme song there or really seeing him
Yeah, I
because
don't.
that
I
was one
don't
of the
think.
things going into the show. I was like, oh, hopefully we see him, and it's like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
so I didn't. Yeah, so I don't think he was there, and I don't. I'll take a look here again just to make sure before we wrap it up, and then we'll quickly
Yeah.
talk about Collision. But let's again use the internet.
Oh, yeah, 9 minutes 40 something seconds. Zoom
Yeah,
Pro. That's what this thing is. I'll
we're
click
getting
that. Curious what.
the warning. Let's see here. All right, what did we have? So this is pre-show, right? Yeah.
Mm,
The Young Bucks defeated
currency.
Don Callis family, FTR, Kevin Knight. He may have been in the he may have been in the Casino Gauntlet match for
Mm,
on the main card of that show, maybe.
potentially, yeah.
But either way, he just really hasn't been put in a prominent role. So I think it'd be cool to finally get him one. I think Jericho's a great guy to do it with.
Yeah. Feel like it's
So
hard not to have him versus Chris Jericho on like some sort of main card. Good breather match.
so as we wrap up here,
Mm,
only thing we have confirmed for Dynamite next week is Mercedes versus Suzuki in the
mm,
semifinals of the Women's Owen Hart tournament. On Collision this week, which
mm.
is also at the same venue in Cincinnati. They're taping it Thursday. It'll air Saturday on TNT. We have 4 matches. We have Kenny Omega versus this guy from New Japan.
Uh oh.
The
Yeah.
big,
Something.
big Hugo Boss.
Yes.
Uh, trying to pull it up on Twitter, but they put out 100 things every 5 minutes. Um, oh, it'll be versus Bad Dude Tito.
I like that. They're going like the Jackson Five. They just have the Michael Jackson movie thing going on. Tito, he's bad. He's dangerous. Big bad
So
Tito. There we go.
we you've got a Kenny Omega match on Collision. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a banger.
On the other side of Forbidden Door, there is going to be a 6-woman survival of the fittest match for the vacant TBS championship. They are doing the first of 6 qualifiers on Collision. It'll be former TBS champion Julia Hart versus Persephone, who just got eliminated from the Owen on Collision last week. So that'll be interesting. They have a Cincinnati street fight, Death Riders versus Shane Taylor Promotions. So we'll have to see if that is the culmination of that brief feud. But either way, you get a street fight.
Good decent feud. They've been doing that feud for a couple weeks, so good way to end it is I feel like a good street fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's fine if it does its job there.
Mm.
And we have the Young Bucks versus Clark Connors and David Finlay, the Dogs.
The
And
dogs. What the dog doing?
what the dog doing? Or as I think it was Nick Jackson said, who let the dog out?
Good question.
Who? But I think it feels like it's serving as a number one contenders match for Cope and Cage. I don't know. It doesn't say that, but it feels like those are the 2 teams that are contending for that. And as it typically is with AEW, you'll probably come out of that Collision with a few more things announced for Dynamite. And who knows, there may be something with Forbidden Door. Like, again, looking at this,
lot of names.
I don't think the Death Riders are going to be involved in that cage match. So, is somebody going to appear as the heir apparent to Moxley's Continental Championship, or at least a match for it? Are we going to get Cope and Cage confirmed against the Bucks or the Dogs at the pay-per-view? I think there's and this is something else we've talked about before. Like, I actually think this is a really well booked Collision. This is a Collision that's worth watching.
Yeah, it's insane because there's so many like names that are left off that we haven't seen this week. It doesn't seem like we're going to see on Collision, like Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, Takeshita, Okada.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's been a minute since we've seen Kyle Fletcher in a match. So I don't just came back and I don't think he's wrestled.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the other thing. They've got 4 matches announced. If it's a typical Collision, it'll end up being 7 or 8 matches. And they'll run the gauntlet. So Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they took as we said, they took a good step forward this week on Dynamite for getting
Mm.
you ready for Forbidden Door, and we'll see if they do the same for what's coming up here on Collision. But I'm looking forward to Saturday.
Well, if Collision's anything like Dynamite, hopefully we get to see some promos and maybe the people that we don't see wrestle. Hopefully we get to see them talk and get some motivation because Takeshita is a new champion and hopefully build up to a match with whoever his next opponent will be.
Yeah, I'll say this too because I know we're gonna
Mm.
have to jump out of here. But
Yep.
you made a comment in the beginning. You know, it's like almost WWE style. This is
Yep.
my thing. When AEW started, I so greatly appreciated how much wrestling they provide versus talking. I couldn't stand watching Monday Night Raw start with 20
Mm.
minutes of promos every single week. But as I've learned and as time goes on, you kind of do realize that as a wrestling fan, like it is often the stories that get you invested in. So like this Dynamite, it felt like they did go over probably I think 10 or 15 minutes of an
Yeah.
overrun. But you know what? Like you need to get these stories over. And it was a lot of segments that they try to fit into these shows.
Mm.
Dynamite is kind of just as the name sounds, like it's very explosive. It's very bang, bang, bang. There's always something going on. But I think as a viewer, it keeps your attention. And so I don't mind an episode like this. And at the end of the day, I still think you got 5 or 6 matches. But you know, you had a couple of promos. You had guys basically almost after every match, somebody had something to say.
Mm.
And that helps, you know, sell the story and invest people. So um, I think I think you need some of that. Like WWE, AEW is the alternative, and you need an alternative, but that
Mm.
doesn't mean that you need to be 100% in the opposite direction of WWE. Face it, they've been around and been as successful as they are because they do a lot of things well. Whether people feel that way about the current product or not, I know I don't, but
Mm.
um, you know, taking a page out of their book isn't always a bad thing. And so I think these promos are good. And honestly, I look forward to hopefully a couple more of them as we inch closer to this Forbidden Door pay-per-view at the end of June.
Oh yeah. Feel like you gotta have some story because the multiple times that I gone to a Collision or an AEW show and seen whatever ROH or whatever pre-show matches is like, oh, it's gonna be a good match, but I care more about the matches where they tell a story, have a promo, at least one promo building up to the match does way more than just going, oh, we're gonna have Orange Cassidy versus Mark Davis. Like, why are they having a match? Just one promo, one backstage bit, something. Luckily, we're in the
Yeah.
age of social media, so they can do stuff on social media. Hopefully, continue utilizing that, like how they do with Leo Rush, because he's been
Yeah.
pretty
He's a great
featured on
example
their
of that.
Instagram on AEW's Instagram. Any
Yeah.
closing words with 1 minute 30 seconds left before we end this swing dig?
Let's do it again next week.
I agree. Till next time, like, comment, subscribe, drop the notification bell on this playlist so you can just get AEW podcast.